Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa. This is Africa Update, your pulse to the continent. Stories shaping nations and voices driving change. Stay informed, stay connected, right here on Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It is midday and this is Africa Updates coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on Channel Africa from an African perspective. I'm Lulu Gaboo. I'm in studio with Onele Nzinzi and Buntle Headbush. Coming up in this hour.
It was right in my compound. So, taking fresh air. The next thing, see somebody just grabbed me. I was trying to, so asked me to open the gate with a gun. So I opened the gate.
Nigeria declares a nationwide security emergency following a surge in mass kidnappings and deadly attacks. And General Hota Nta Naman is the new leader of Guinea-Bissau. But first up, the news with Onele Nzinzi and our sports headlines with Msubudi Makura.
SABC News. The African perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. Rather, it's Matapelo on the news desk today. Starting off with the story, it emerged that the regional West African bloc had arranged the repatriation of Guinea-Bissau's ousted president, Umaro Sissoco Embalo. Senegal authorities say this followed negotiations by the bloc to secure Embalo's travels amid rising tensions to Guinea-Bissau. Senegal's foreign ministry said in a statement that Embalo landed in the country safe and sound on a chartered military flight late yesterday. The military in Guinea-Bissau has already sworn in a new transitional leader, Gen Hota Ntam, who will rule the coup-prone country for a year. And South Africa's acting Minister of Police, Feroz Kachaila, says the establishment of the Malanga Commission and Parliament's ad hoc committee are important for the future of the criminal justice in the country. The two bodies were set up by President Cyril Ramaphosa to probe explosive allegations of criminal infiltration and political interference in the criminal justice system. Kachaila was speaking at the release of quarterly crime statistics in Pretoria.
Organized crime is a direct threat to the safety of our people, to the growth of our economy, to the prosperity of our country, and is a threat to our national security. Criminal networks fuel violence, entrench corruption, and weaken our democratic institutions. These criminals, as we have seen recently, wear fancy suits and designer clothes, pretending that they are legitimate business people.
And the Economic Freedom Fighters Party in South Africa is marching to the Constitutional Court to demand a decision on the matter involving the theft of $4 million stashed at President Cyril Ramaphosa's Phalaphala farm. This week, Chief Justice Mandisa Maya listed the EFF's party bid to challenge the rationale behind the National Assembly's 2022 decision to not adopt an independent panel report into the matter. EFF spokesperson Sinawo Tambo says that the ruling is long overdue.
The Constitutional Court is supposed to be the final arbiter, and that's why we came here a year ago. And it is also proving to be part and parcel of what we characterize as a cover-up. The South African Reserve Bank gave us nonsensical explanations. The Office of the Public Protector gave us nonsensical explanations. SARS told us about unfinished or uncompleted transactions. We were told about cattle that were sold but never collected. And all of these institutions seem reluctant to investigate a president who said he was willing to step aside if there was prima facie evidence that he laundered money. So we hope the Constitutional Court will hear our call today.
And a search for the remaining abducted children and teachers continues in Nigeria's affected states. President Bola Tinubu this week declared a nationwide security emergency and ordered the army and police to recruit thousands of additional personnel after a wave of mass kidnappings. According to the United Nations, at least 402 people, mainly school children, have been kidnapped in 4 states in the north-central region, Niger, Kebbi, Kwara and Bonohe, where the first incident happened. They include one at the Catholic school in the Niger state where hundreds of students were abducted. One of the victims of kidnappings in the state of Kebbi speaks about their ordeal.
I was taken away with some other people, some women. So my neighbor, they killed that one husband. So me and the wife were taken away. So after 7 days, they released with a ransom of 2.8 million. They collected. They beat, they humiliate us, dragging us. It's only that first day we were beaten. But the rest they didn't beat us, but they did not give us food, nothing. We were drinking mud water, dirty water.
And at least 128 people are now known to have died after a fire ripped through a high-rise Hong Kong residential estate yesterday. Authorities have told a news briefing that 79 people were injured and 16 bodies remain inside the buildings, while dozens of people are still missing. Security Chief Tang Ping Keung attributes the rapid spread of the blaze to styrofoam placed inside or outside the windows of the apartment blocks. Fire alarms in all 8 blocks were also found to be not working effectively. For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I am Matapelo Mahape.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
And coming up in your sports news this hour, so CAF Interclub competitions continue this weekend, while SAFA says they'll be guided by Hugo Bruce as he announces his squad for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations tournament in a few days' time. Details coming up at 12:30.
Africa Update with Lulu Gaboo, 12 to 1 p.m. Central African Time.
Oh, thank you to Matapelo Mahape. And with our news update and Msibudi Makura with our sports headlines, it is 12:08 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa on DSTV's audio bouquet channel 802, OpenView channel 628, and on www.channelafrica.co.za, as well as on the SABC Plus app, available on the Apple and Google Play stores. I'm Lulu Gaboo, and you can join us in conversation on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram, and subscribe on YouTube at Channel Africa 1. On Facebook at Channel Africa, you can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763. That's 406-9126. Hashtag Africa Updates, and let us know which country you're in. And if you have any stories that you'd like us to highlight or to focus on, send us an email. It is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or give us a call on +2711 714 4459.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Well, today on Hashtag Africa Update Ask, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has declared a nationwide security emergency after a sharp rise in mass kidnappings and deadly attacks. Our question to you today is, do you think Tinubu's government took the right decision? Share your thoughts and all your views on all our social media platforms. That's on X, Instagram at Channel Africa 1, on Facebook at Channel Africa. You can also send us your comments and voice notes to +2763 as 406-9126. Hashtag Africa Update Us.
Your window to the continent and beyond. Africa Update. Only on Channel Africa. Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
Nigeria has declared a nationwide security emergency following a surge in mass kidnappings and deadly attacks. Now, President Bola Tinubu announced the measures after more than 24 school children abducted in Kebbi State were released this week. But the crisis is far from over, with reports of hundreds more taken from a Catholic school in Niger State, or rather Niger State. Our reporter Lebogang Mabange has the story. We will come back to the story a bit later on as we continue with the programming on Channel Africa. It is 10 after 12 Central African time.
Africa Update, your daily dose of African insights with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
Well, we go to Guinea-Bissau, where the voting had taken place during the week and the vote counting also happening there. And a result is that they have a new president, military in Guinea-Bissau, having appointed a general to lead the country for the next year after seizing power on Wednesday. General Hota Nta was sworn in during a ceremony at the army headquarters. Now, dozens of heavily armed soldiers stood guard as Guinea-Bissau's newly appointed ruler took an oath of office on Thursday. The army had already blocked the release of election results that were expected today and which the deposed President Umaru Sissoco Embalo had been widely tipped to win. Before the military took over, General Hota Nta had been seen as a close ally of the president, who was detained on Wednesday. His current whereabouts are unknown. The African Union and the West African region, ECOWAS, have called for the immediate release of President Embalo and other detained officials. Elections expert Tenda Mbanjes joins us on the line just to unpack these developments. Tenda, good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Loud and clear, Tenda. What do you make of this coup, and did Guinea-Bissau need a new leader as President Umaru Sissoco Embalo was expected to win the polls?
Thank you. I do think that there's some background noise.
Please go ahead. We
Is
can
it
hear
from
you
your...
loud and clear.
Yes. So Guinea-Bissau didn't need a new leader, but however, I think the military leaders took advantage of the situation in the country. There's already been a discontent among the political elites of the exclusion of certain political candidates into the presidential race. And also, the Guinea-Bissau is known as the drug hub of Africa. And the military elites have been aware of the links between the drug cartels and the disposed incumbent and some political elites. So they've just taken a chance to point at issues that were not really substantive enough to overthrow a regime through a military coup. These are issues that could be addressed. So they took advantage of the military tension, the political tension between the two political rivals were drawn for the election. But if you look at the reasons that have been cited by the military leaders, they do not really make sense for an unconstitutional takeover of power.
Now, just looking at Naman's political credentials, I mean, he had been seen as a very close ally of the deposed President Umaru Sissoco Embalo. Is he the man that will change the country's trajectory?
Coup leaders, generally, when they come in, they have a well-canvassed message. They have a message of hope. They excite the masses. They excite the people. Their advisors, when they are planning the coup, they often point at right issues. Like they've rightly pointed out issues of political tension, which was going to put a country in a perpetual a destabilization mode, which is a fact. They've also pointed at the issue of drugs. They've also pointed to the issue of corruption and leadership failures, which 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 is the message that resonates with the masses. But of years, he has been the right-hand man of the former incumbent, but we don't know. He has been in the military. He is not a politician. He has no track record of governance. We can only ride on the word, and they've promised that they will restore order in the country within a period of a year. But the trend is that they will not keep to their word. They will keep on postponing elections because they also want to enjoy the benefits that comes with political leadership. So what we see, or the person who's asking whether it's the right-hand man, it's yet to be seen. It's the right person for the job, it's yet to be seen.
Now, as in being the right-hand man, he was seen to be a right-hand man to the former president, so to speak. As in a close ally to the former president, Sisoko Embalo. Now, what went wrong with that relationship? Do you have any ideas?
I can only speculate from the research that I've been doing. I think what went wrong could be traced to the decline of the former president's ability to deliver. For instance, the issues that has been cited pertaining to drugs, pertaining to certain groups benefiting from the issue of drug sale in Guinea-Bissau and so forth. I think it's a serious issue that cannot be ignored. And the military leaders could have just rode on the discontent of the citizens around the management of this issue. But as to regards to exactly what went wrong in their relationship, that is yet to be known. I think the future will really unfold exactly what went wrong, because it's really a rare circumstance where a trusted person turns against their master, or where loyalty all of a sudden is lost. I think we are yet to actually know. It's for now, we can only rely on what has been given to us by the military leaders from their mouths.
Now, any time frames or time limits, or has there been any indication as to how long this military takeover leadership of Nta will then remain in power before they hand over to civilian rule?
They have promised that they will restore order within a period of 1 year. This is in reaction to the suspension that they've received from both the African Union and the ECOWAS. They've both strongly condemned the unconstitutional change of government. As you have seen that in the ECOWAS region, there've been so much unconstitutional takeover through military coups in the past few years, and the region itself is at a breaking point, and obviously they could not in any way condone such a step. So they would definitely want to be reaccepted as soon as possible within the economic bloc, as well as to be accepted to participate in the activities of the African Union. So they've given themselves a period of 1 year. But what we see from the trends is that they will learn from their other coup leaders on how to navigate and how to delay elections and how to keep themselves in power. So more is yet to be seen. We can only work with what they've said, which is 1 year.
Reaction from the citizens of Guinea-Bissau? What are they saying? What are the citizens saying, the citizens of the country?
I've been speaking with colleagues who are long-term election observation experts with the West Africa community bloc in Guinea-Bissau. They've said that this coup is one of the dry coups. It has not been supported by the citizens, insofar as we see that the trend is that most coups are supported by popular uprising, where the people go in their numbers in the streets to support the leaders. But this one is one of its own kind, where there's been curfew, There have been cohesion. There have been force, although it's reported to be one of the bloodless coups or one of those smart coups. But what we see is that citizens are very indifferent to the military takeover.
Well, Tenda, thank you so much for your time. We'll leave it there for today. That's Tenda Mbanje, an elections expert, just giving us an update on what has unfolded in Guinea-Bissau. You're listening to Africa Update.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
The sound of Africa is evolving. Experience our new mobile app. Free to download, free to connect. The voice of the continent, now online, with all your sports fixtures, lifestyle, and more. Your window to the continent and beyond. Africa Update, only on Channel Africa. Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
It is 21 after 12 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. And one of South Africa's opposition parties, the Economic Freedom Fighters, is leading a march to the Constitutional Court in Johannesburg to demand a timely ruling on the Phala matter. The EFF says that the highest court in the land must hand down judgment on the case involving the alleged theft of US dollars from President Cyril Ramaphosa's Phala farm in the Limpopo province. The Constitutional Court heard the EFF's review application on the 26th of November last year, but has yet to deliver its ruling. The party argues that the delay raises serious concerns about accountability and transparency within the justice system. The EFF says today's march forms part of a broader campaign of grassroots mobilization and public pressure for transparency, the rule of law and accountability in the country. The march is expected to start at 10 o'clock from the Mary Fitzgerald Square in Newtown in Johannesburg before proceeding to the Constitutional Court. For more on this, we are joined on the line by SABC News reporter Ntebo Mukobo. Ntebo, good afternoon and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon, Lulu, and good afternoon to the listeners at home.
Now, Ntebo, have the Red Berets or members of the EFF come out in their numbers for this march? And what is at, we've highlighted what they're calling for, but just have you managed to speak to any of the leadership on the ground?
Well, Lulu, we were told at some point that around 72 buses will be chaperoning or ferrying their members here at the Mary Fitzgerald Square. A number of them are here, and at some point a while ago we spoke to Ompile Maudwe, and she told us that, the crux of the case, that it has been some time now that the court is yet to rule on this matter. You would recall that, they were supposed to meet at 10, but, as it is raining, they were a bit delayed. They will be soon progressing to the Constitutional Court. And at the Constitutional Court, that's where the party president Julius Malema will be delivering the keynote address, or sort of delivering the memorandum to those who matter at the Constitutional Court. Either the clerk of the court or a representative from the Constitutional Court would have to come and receive their memorandum. But yes, very soon they will be at the Constitutional Court, although there was a bit of a delay because of the rain and them waiting for the buses.
Now, just speaking of this march that is unfolding and the whole case, the Phala case, is it known what the delays are in terms of the progression in this case?
Well, for now, we don't know why was the delay. You recall that at some point, the Chief Justice, Mandisa Maya, at some point, sometime last week, she was giving sort of the report as a constitutional court and, of course, the entire judiciary. She said that
Ndebo, unfortunately, Ndebo, I don't know what the network has just gone south on us, and we're not hearing you clearly. I wonder if you've moved away from the position that you were when we started our discussion. Can you go back there? Ndebo, are you there? All right, we seem to be having some connection issue there to Ndebo Mokobo. All right, Ndebo, I'm told you are back on the line and with a better connection. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, perfect. You sound a lot better. Okay, please go back to the Chief Justice Mandisa Maya addressing the nation last week.
Well, sometime last week, the Chief Justice Mandisa Maya said that, she's a bit disturbed by the fact that it takes long for members of the judiciary to deliver their judgment. She even mentioned around 6 months. But you would recall that, according to the norms and standards of the Constitutional Court and most high courts in the country, even including the Supreme Court of Appeal, the leeway period is around 3 months. In 3 months, they have to deliver their judgment. Although Justice Maya said that it seems that now they are going to around 6 months for them to deliver the case, the judgment. But if you come to this case, as you correctly pointed out, the case started around 2024 in November. That's where the matter was deliberated, and on the 26th of November, judgment was reserved. In a normal case, when judgment is reserved, it is expected latest in around April of this year, that judgment would have been out. And if maybe indeed, as the Justice Maya was saying that they take them around 6 months, maybe around July, that judgment would have been out. But it's over a year now and hasn't been any word from the Constitutional Court. And that's what precipitated or sparked the EFF to take to the streets and demand the judgment that they started, on the case that they've started. You would recall that, it's almost now 3 years since this case has been on the table after a case was opened then by Arthur Fraser. And the matter was even sent to Parliament for it to be deliberated. It was open around June, and subsequent to that, then the matter came before Parliament. And when it came before the ad hoc committee in Parliament, sort of a ruling was made on when the report was presented in Parliament. Then in Sanobu, for that incident, to answer, and that's what sparked then the EFF to take the matter to the Constitutional Court to say maybe then what the ANC did in Parliament to use its own majority to scupper any action against the President of impeachment, that can be deliberated in the Constitutional Court. And indeed, it was taken to the Constitutional Court, deliberated, and even today the judgment is still pending.
Now, Ndebo, very quickly, before we just in wrapping up, with regards to the handing over of the referendum, do you know whether there are any time frames that have been put forward by the EFF? And, what are they hoping would come out of this in terms of time frames and continued delays?
Well, for now, we don't know. It's still contained in the memorandum. There hasn't been any word from the EFF in terms of what is contained in their memorandum. But I would assume that the Constitutional Court wouldn't want to be it to be portrayed in a bad light. Maybe trying to escape or trying to hide anything. They would give the Constitutional Court whatever days they will come up with, but the Constitutional Court really would want to be seen to be as the court of hope for many South Africans. So the Constitutional Court would hear from what any representative from the Constitutional Court would be saying, because indeed everyone is looking at that case. That it's over a year. There hasn't been any case. There hasn't been any judgment. We've never heard of any case that has been on the court roll or where judgment has been reserved for over a year. So the Constitutional Court would want to cover it in glory, especially with so many accusations that the court, even the justices, some justices are being captured. So they wouldn't want to really be seen in that bad light. But we will hear what the EFF President, Julius Malema, would be saying, or the ultimatum that he would be giving the Constitutional Court in terms of when are they likely going to come up, or when are they expecting the judgment from the Constitutional Court.
Ndebo, thank you for your time on Africa Update. We'll leave it there for today.
Much appreciated.
That's Ndebo Mukobo, SABC News reporter, joining us on the line. It is 12:30 Central African time, and our news headlines up next with Matapelo Mahape.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Lulu. Headlines this hour. The Tunisian Appeals Court has sentenced 40 opposition leaders, business and media figures to prison terms from 5 to 45 years for conspiring against state security, marking a significant prosecution in the country's recent history. And authorities from Senegal reported that the regional West African bloc facilitated the safe repatriation of Guinea-Bissau's ousted president, Umaro Sissoco Embalo, amid escalating tensions. Embalo arrived in Senegal on a chartered military flight, while Guinea-Bissau's military has appointed Gen Hota Antama as a new transitional leader for the next year. And U.S. President Donald Trump says his administration will permanently pause migration from all third world countries following the death of a National Guard member in an attack near the White House. More details on these and other stories at top of the hour.
SABC News. Headlines. The African Perspective. Sports on Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
And a very good afternoon from the sports desk. I am Musibu Dimakura with the latest sports news at this hour. So we'll start with football news. The second round of the CAF stage matches of the Total Energies CAF Champions League 2025 as well as the CAF Confederation Cup will take centre stage yet again this weekend, offering clubs the opportunity now to consolidate their positions before the pause, the competition for the Africa Cup of Nations tournament starting later on next month. So in Group A, FC Bakan will visit Rivers United on Friday. That's, of course, later on today, who will now be eager to respond after their defeat in Cairo, Egypt, while Pyramids FC, the defending champions, will head to Zambia for a meeting with Power Dynamos on Saturday. In Group B, it presents a major early test for FAR Rabat of Morocco as they host Al Ahly later on tonight, with the young Africans of Tanzania then travelling to Algeria to face off with JS Kabylie the same evening after their strong start last weekend. Then South African side Mamelodi Sundowns will begin their 11th successive group stage campaign, and they continue their push for early control in Group C with a visit to MC Alger tonight, while Al Hilal will travel to the Democratic Republic of Congo to meet up with Saint Elilopopo on Sunday. Meanwhile, Petro Atletico will then visit the likes of Esperance, that are four-time champions of Morocco, in one of the marquee fixtures. That match will be taking place tomorrow as Simba FC of Tanzania face a very difficult trip to Mali to meet Stade Malien in search of their first points following a defeat last weekend. At the same time, the Confederation Cup tournament also returns with a finely balanced contest across all four groups. Olympique de Safi as well as USM Alger will meet in a top-of-a-table clash later on tonight in Group A, with both sides recording their opening victories just last weekend. Meanwhile, Wydad Casablanca of Morocco will travel to Tanzania to face off with Azam of Tanzania tonight as well, after their commanding match day one win with Nairobi United. The debutants in this year's tournament set to host Manema Union at the Nairobi Stadium on Sunday. CR Belouizdad have a strong match later on tonight. They face off with Otio Ador of the Democratic Republic of Congo, while Stellenbosch FC from South Africa look to build on their dramatic league victory from last weekend when they face off with Singida Black Stars of Tanzania on Sunday. Group D remains also wide open as Al Masry visit Zesco United of Zambia tonight, while Kaizer Chiefs of South Africa have a date with Zamalek in Polokwane in the Limpopo province on Saturday. We'll stay with football news. So South African officials Abongile Tom as well as Zakhele Siwela have been named on the final panel for the Africa Cup of Nations tournament in Morocco. So Tom returns after officiating 3 matches at last tournament's Africa Cup of Nations tournament in the Ivory Coast, while Siwela, who ran the line back in 2021 in the final in Cameroon and has now featured at 6 AFCON tournaments, makes his comeback after missing the previous edition. His inclusion also means the veteran assistant referee is now just 1 tournament shy of Mani Koman Koulibaly's record of 8 appearances at the Africa Cup of Nations tournament. Now, the Confederation of African Football has confirmed 28 referees, 31 assistants, as well as 14 video match officials for the competition, which officially gets underway on the 21st of December, concluding on the 18th of January 2026. Alfred Chavani, who was also on the shortlist, has not been included in the final selection. On to rugby news now. South Africa want to hit the ground running when the World Rugby 7 Series gets underway in Dubai tomorrow. The Blitzboks, who were crowned world champions in Los Angeles back in May of this year, finished last season in 4th place overall during the regular league season. Argentina were crowned league champions in April. So Dubai has been a happy hunting ground for the South Africans. They've won 7 of the last 9 editions and also are hoping to dethrone Fiji as defending champions. The new series format also sees 2 pools of 4 teams each battle for the top honours, with the top 2 teams in each pool then advancing to the semi-finals. Assistant coach Renfred Dazel says the new format is a solid start. Rather had to say this about the new format, and also saying that a solid start to the season is non-negotiable.
If we look at the 2 pools, the one pool is obviously all the games are tough, but for us it's France, Fiji and Argentina. There's no easy game, so you need to hit the ground running when you start on Saturday. And for us, it's important that we start well after a good pre-season.
We'll stay with rugby news. France captain, that is Antoine Dupont, is set to return to Toulouse this weekend after more than 8 months out injured. Now, the scrum half suffered a serious knee injury back in March of this year, but is expected now to be in the French champions match day squad for the Saturday home 12-14 game against Racing 9-2. So since October, the 29-year-old Olympic gold medalist has been training with Toulouse, recording the record 24-time champions, and also missed France's Autumn Nations Series campaign due to that injury. Without Dupont, though, Le Bleu lost to South Africa before beating Fiji and Australia despite a half-back pairing that had the team also on the back foot against a match with Fiji just last weekend. And that's a wrap from the sports desk at this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, our email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Call us as well on +27 11714 4459. I'm back with more sports news in the next hour. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Mosibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. The Morning Switch Weekend with the Shy Guy.
The story that takes us to Zambia. There are 2 men actually that were sentenced to prison for the plot to kill the president with witchcraft. You go like, what? So these guys were arrested actually in Lusaka, and what was found on them was a live chameleon. Can you believe that? Animal tails and bottles of concoction. That law takes us back to 1914, which is the Witchcraft Act. I can imagine now arrested and they go to jail for the next 2 years. You know, I presume that when you get to jail, they get to ask you actually, what is it that you committed? Now, this is the first of its kind, by the way, for somebody to be arrested for such. They in Pemba, whenever they pass. Hey, Chikanga! Hey, Uloya! Hey, Mulosi! And imagine here I am in these early hours of the mornings, I get to talk about witchcraft.
Saturday and Sunday mornings belong to the Morning Switch. 3 to 6 a.m. Central African Time. Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Good afternoon. Time for our first look at the business news this afternoon. In our top story, the London High Court has lifted an injunction that prevented the sale of a South Sudanese oil cargo scheduled to be loaded in the next few days. This was after BB Energy, the commodities trader who filed the case, decided not to ask to continue the injunction. BB Energy took legal action against South Sudan for its alleged failure in delivering oil BB had paid $142 million to South Sudan for. This was under prepayment agreements spanning 2024 to 2025, but then refused to request an extension of the injunction after reaching agreement with representatives from rival trading firms. Analysts say the case of South Sudan highlights the risk commodity traders are taking when they enter into pre-finance contracts to secure oil purchases. Ghana's economy continues to show signs of strengthening as the Bank of Ghana cut its policy rate by 350 basis points, bringing it down to 18%. The move marks one of the largest single reductions in recent years, made possible by rapidly falling inflation, improved reserves, and a stabilizing currency. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Johnson Asiamaha, says even though the country's economy continues to improve, risks including the country's vulnerability to swings in commodity prices remain.
We are basically another commodity exporting country. Remember, what do we export? 3 items: oil, cocoa, gold. And most of it we export as primary products. When you are a country like that, you are always exposed to external shocks. If the US dollar strengthens for any reason, and if anything happens there that has nothing to do with Ghana, and the dollar strengthens, that would have, a very significant impact on us down here. And so my worry is that we tackle some of these, call them vulnerabilities.
Kenya and 2 Chinese state firms are launching construction of a $1.5 billion highway expansion, marking Beijing's return to major infrastructure development in the East African economy after a years-long hiatus. The project, split into 2 phases, will be financed by the partners through a mix of debt and equity, using a model that is gaining traction after China's traditional lending model raised concerns over borrowers' debt burdens. The project will improve a key transport corridor that links Kenya's port of Mombasa with its western region and neighboring landlocked states like Uganda via Nairobi. A Kenyan court has ruled that a law which criminalized the selling or sharing of indigenous seeds is unconstitutional. The judge said sections of the law violated economic and cultural rights of farmers. The BBC's Richard Kago has the details.
The farmers who waited 3 years for the ruling broke into celebrations as the judgment was delivered. Under the law, they faced up to 2 years in jail or fines of about $8,000 for using uncertified seeds. Food campaigners say the ruling protects farmers' rights and preserves traditional seed systems. The government will now have to amend the law in Parliament or move to appeal.
South Africa's Department of Health is urging South Africans to be extra vigilant when snapping up food bargains during the Black Friday rush. Spokesperson Foster Mohale says consumers should carefully inspect labels, check expiry dates, and assess the overall condition of products, warning that discounted items can sometimes include counterfeit or unsafe goods. The department says taking a few precautionary steps could help prevent the serious health risks associated with consuming fake or compromised food.
Consumers are also urged to avoid food items with either damaged, broken or leaking packaging, even if it smells and looks good. It's also important to assess food products' appearance and inconsistencies in the texture, smell and color of the actual food product compared to the original brand. Consumption of expired and counterfeit goods, especially food, has potential to cause serious health risks.
And now taking a look at the indicators, $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,446 naira. In Botswana, it's 13 pula 25. Kenya, the dollar is trading at 128 shillings 78, and in Zambia, it's 22 kwacha 77. The BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is trading at 5 real 36. Russia, 78 rubles 61. In India, it's 89 rupees 20. China 7 yuan 7, and South Africa $1 is trading at 17 rand 14 cents. $1 is trading at 75 pence to the British pound and 86 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is trading at $4,158 per ounce, platinum $1,613 per ounce, while the price of Brent crude oil is $63.12 a barrel. And that's the business news. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please do send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or give us a call on +2711 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Bontle Hetbush.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Africa Update, your daily dose of African insights with Lulu Gaboo on Channel Africa.
Well, thank you to Buntle Hedbush with our business news. It is 12:45 Central African time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. Now, extensive research conducted with student influencers in South Africa has revealed that this Black Friday, Gen Zs are interested in buying wellness, not because it is fashionable, but because it helps them stay stable. Each generation has had a preference over their shopping behavior. Boomers bought appliances, millennials bought sneakers, and now Gen Zs are looking at skincare, supplements, gym membership, etc. And to unpack the research, we are joined on the line by youth culture expert Greg Potterton from the Boo Campus Media. Greg, good afternoon, and thank you for joining us on Africa Update.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much.
You know, Greg, just going through, I'm looking at millennials buying sneakers, boomers buying appliances, and the Gen Zs want to be healthy. Just what has your research really uncovered?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I think for a number of reasons, we're living in a very fast-paced trend cycle. There's a lot of anxiety in this generation. In fact, 40% higher incidence of mental health disorders in this generation, just because of this kind of existential, financial, and social crisis that these young people are living in. And what we've realized is that in a time of chaos, a time of this kind of tumultuous era, they're looking for some semblance of order and structure. So back in the day, they would probably look at buying apparel and accessories that amplify themselves, that badge them, that give them a sense of identity bigger than they actually are. Now, because the world is so chaotic, we've seen them really revert back to authenticity, stability, and rituals. So yes, they will always buy from a commercial perspective, but certainly we're seeing patterns reserved and kind of returning back to more holistic wellness and health, really.
And these are very costly, and I would presume, of what we've seen in the market so far, Black Friday has come with many good specials when it comes to just healthcare products and so on. When does it then all change? Because there's a lot that is happening. Economically, you've touched on that, and just the financial aspect of how everyone is surviving. The young people seem solid when it comes to the way they do their things or their plans, and just the generational, sometimes they call them generational curses and things like that, but they're doing things very differently.
Absolutely, and it's a great observation. I think first of all, it's the most inclusive generation. So there's no real tribalism in terms of what's cool and what's uncool, which means everybody is getting along all the time. That is the one trend we're seeing. Counter to that trend is this kind of living on the social grid on social media, where there's this instant comparison all the time. So you've got people trying to establish an identity, then you've got this kind of push to tell them that other people are doing things better than they are. And I think without kind of resigning, they've just opted out. They've opted out of trying to keep up with the Joneses. They've opted out with trying to have the next big thing. And they're really focusing on functionality, stability, and importantly, brands and products that align with their values. And those values are really authenticity. So yeah, it's no longer this ability to badge or this need to kind of signal or broadcast how wealthy I am. It's more about I'm buying responsibly and I'm buying for my needs, regardless of what the social grid says about me.
And what can the older generations learn from the Gen Zs?
Well, I think for the longest time, we've always thought that conspicuous consumption was something that was entrenched in every generation. This generation, we're seeing a return to more austerity, but not minimalism in the sense of buying less. It's just minimalism in the sense of buying better. So I will still spend on anchor products. I will still spend on one or two big ticket items, but those need to last for a long time. So we're seeing a return to more craft connoisseurship, more brands that have a story to tell, brands that have a provenance and a heritage, and a slowing down of this trend cycle and this need to keep up with this over-consumptive and commercial world. So I think to answer your question, this generation is the first one that's focusing on stability and authenticity and are letting their wallets do the talking for them.
And just for interest's sake, before I let you go, Greg, where are you rushing to for your Black Friday shopping, if anything?
I am all about books, so I will be on Amazon. And I will be downloading as many books as I can at midnight tonight.
Okay, great. Oh, Greg, thank you so much for joining us on Africa Updates. And
you're welcome.
All the best on your shopping, hey?
Cool. You too. Thank you.
Thank you. That's Greg Potterson from the Boo Campus Media, and he was joining us on the line. And it is that time of the day where we say a happy Friday and a happy wet Friday. And you know, Debucho doesn't like the rain. He's really shaking his head that, you know what?
Today, I don't mind it.
Oh, you don't mind it today?
Usually.
What changed?
You know what changed, Lulu? This morning, I realized, I can stay in and chill, watch some movies. I didn't have a busy morning today. So I was able to just relax and breathe, take it all in. Netflix and chill. So I love the weather. And driving in today, it wasn't raining that badly.
I guess it depends which direction you're coming from.
It depends on which direction I was coming from. But I'm actually enjoying today's weather. I was having a personal thought there, saying, you know what? It's nice coming to work today. The weather is actually not bad. Yes, I would love to be chilling at home and resting, not doing much. But something changed in me. And I don't mind today's weather.
Okay, we need to take a page from Debucho's book and find out exactly what are you spending on this Black Friday.
So I bought a TV is what I got, and the soundbar I needed to upgrade. So that means that my current TV can now go to the bedroom, which is pretty cool. But that's pretty much all I got, because I realized I don't really need much. I know people who buy a Black Friday, it's like they list the things that they wanted from January. Black Friday, I'm going to get this and this. I didn't really have a list until I went on to the Take-A-Lots app this past 2 days. I was like, oh, it's quite a massive saving or deals happening with the TVs there. So I got myself a TV. I was like, oh, it's about time anyway. Nice. I've had the same TV for quite a few years. So I'm deviating.
What's coming up today?
Yes. Here's what's coming up on the upside this afternoon. It's a musical Friday. We'll be joined in studio for our DJ mix by DJ K Matt. She'll be joining us because she is quite a sensation, and she's been building a career very steadily over a period of time, and now it's almost as if it's like a bamboo. You know how they say a bamboo grows sort of, it takes a long time for it to grow underground, then all of a sudden it shoots up. Yep. That's her career. So we'll be getting into conversation with her later on this afternoon. And then we have a conversation with JJ. They've got a new Amapiano love song, which is called Peshe. Okay. Hey, it's going to be a musical Friday with me and Tsako. I'm sorry I spoke your ear off. That's what's coming up on the upside.
Okay, something to look forward to on the upside with Tebogo Kuledi and Ntsako Mhlanga. Well, we continue on Africa Updates, and there is a lot coming up on this front. It is 12:53 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa.
Your window to the continent and beyond. Africa Update. Only on Channel Africa. Channel Africa. The African Perspective.
It is 12:54 Central African Time, and we're coming to you live from Johannesburg in South Africa. And, just for interest's sake, Tebogo was shocked that I haven't bought anything on Black Friday. All right. So we go to Nigeria, where we touched on the story earlier on, and I did say we were going to come back to it, where Nigeria has declared a nationwide security emergency following a surge in mass kidnappings and deadly attacks. President Bola Tinubu announcing the measures after more than 24 school children were abducted in Kebbi State, where were released this week. But the crisis is far from over, with reports of hundreds more taken from a Catholic school in Niger State. Our reporter Lebogang Mabange has the story.
The Nigerian government is tightening security after a renewed wave of abductions, some of the worst the country has seen in years. Survivors describe harrowing ordeals at the hands of armed groups operating across multiple states. One of the survivors, whose name is withheld for safety, says she was taken in broad daylight.
It was right in my compound. So, taking fresh air. The next thing, somebody just grabbed me. I was tying towel. So, asked me to open the gate with a gun. So, I opened the gate. My husband ran out to confront them. They started shooting. So, my husband now ran back inside to lock the door. I was taken away with some other people, some women. So, my neighbor, they killed that one husband. So me and the wife were taken away.
She says the kidnappers moved their captives across multiple rural communities for days.
They took us through different bush, from one community to one other community, from one community to one community. The humiliation was too much. They beat, they humiliate us, dragging us, tell us they don't want problem. If we cooperate, that is money they want. If our family cooperates, they will set us free. It's the situation of the country that make them to do this. So we should just cooperate.
Furthermore, she says food was scarce and the conditions were life-threatening.
It's only that first day we were beaten, but the rest they didn't beat us, but they did not give us food, nothing. We were drinking mud water, dirty water. My family took me to hospital yesterday, so we ran several tests, so this test will be out today.
Security analysts say government handling of armed groups has contributed to the crisis. Douglas Okbankwa, a Nigerian lawyer and policy analyst, argues that the state has normalized terror by calling militants bandits.
You see, for example, the development of the vocabulary, or let's say the nomenclature of bandits, is a creation of the political class to take them away from who they are. They are terrorists. What is the meaning of bandits? You will see a government will issue a statement and say bandits. What are you talking about? These are barefaced terrorists that should be taken out of the face of this earth. We have no reason for us to say we are having meetings. Government will call terrorists having AK-47s on their neck with magazines to a meeting, and they will say they are discussing. But when you go to somewhere like in the southwest, southeast, you will be so hard on the people you call independent people of Biafra. But the bandits, you meet with them. You integrate Boko Haram back to the army.
Civil society groups say the crisis is not new and should have been prevented years ago. Aisha Yesufu, co-founder of the hashtag Bring Back Our Girls movement, says Nigeria is now experiencing the consequences of years of inaction.
Honestly, none of us ever, envisioned something like this, not in our wildest dream. When we started the Bring Back Our Girls movement, we felt it was something that would just end maybe in a few days, and that the Nigerian government would do all it can to rescue the Chibok girls, every one of them, and ensure that no other child was taken away. Bring Back Our Girls, it went viral on Twitter, 23rd of April 2014, and it's been over 11 years now. Unfortunately, we've had a lot more abductions happening, in Nigeria. It's really sad where you see a situation whereby the lives of citizens are not deemed to be important.
As Nigeria continues to contain this growing wave of violence, families continue to wait for news of loved ones, hoping the government's new security measures will finally bring an end to years of terror. Reporting for Channel Africa, I am Lebogang Mabange.
Africa Update on Channel Africa.
And that's how we end Africa Update today. It's been a great day and a great week. Do keep safe. Continue with us on all our social media platforms. Have a great weekend, and let's do this again on Monday. Bye-bye.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
With the news at 1 o'clock, I'm Matabala Mahape. Good afternoon. A Tunisian appeals court has sentenced 40